What's up, you draft nerds out there? My name is Draft Raw, and thank you for tuning in to In the Clutch. Once again, welcome to In the Clutch. My name is Draft Raw, and in this video, we're going to talk about the top safety prospects in the 2021 draft. So let's just get straight into it. The first safety that we're going to talk about is Trevon Moehrig from TCU. Trevon Moehrig is first of all, before I even get into that, he's consensually has been looked at as the top safety in this draft class. And when I watched him, he's a highly athletic player. He has good range and instincts in coverage. He's kind of an inconsistent tackler, but it's not so bad to a point where it's going to be a liability for the back end of a defense. And he has excellent hips and feet. Like I said, with his ability in coverage, the instincts that he has in coverage with the type of hips and feet that he has, his hips and feet are as good as most corners in the league. And adding instincts to that, playing the safety position, you got a very all-around, solid tight end that can make a difference on a defense within the NFL, whoever chooses this guy. He's the only guy that probably has a first-round grade, that I guess you could say most NFL scout, like draft analysts, has kind of have him as. But I actually think that there's more tight ends in this draft class that I wouldn't say have a first round grade, but could be sneaking into the back of the first round if a team thinks that they need that type of player. Next on the list we're going to talk about is Richie Grant. Richie Grant is not my number 2 safety in this class. He's actually my number 5. But I wanted to talk about him really quick because he is the only pure free safety in this draft class. The only player that literally plays single high almost all the time. And he plays a little bit of the slot and coverage against some receivers or tight ends, stuff like that. But he's the only purist of the free safety type of position. Very Ed Reed, Earl Thomas-like when it comes to him as a single high safety. The thing is that when I talk about him being a pure safety, if you've seen any of my videos, you know what type of person I am when it comes to scouting safeties. I love cover skills. I love single high cover skills. I love range. And I'm one of the few people that I will not bring down a player's stock because he's not a great tackler. But I will say this, if there's players within a draft class that are better tacklers that can play single high free safety, obviously a guy like Richie Grant is going to drop in the draft. That's why he's my number 5. He's a terrible tackler, just simple as that. He's terrible. He takes bad angles, and he's not physical when it comes to tackling. Do I knock him for it? I knock him for it for where I rank him, but I don't knock him for being a guy that I actually would use a second-round pick on Richie. I think that his cover skills is that good that I will be confident in making him a starter as a rookie because he is the best pure cover-free safety within this draft. Now, to really get into some other guys, Andre Cisco from Syracuse. No makeup speed at all, it can pretty much be a problem. He can get sucked up by play action, which can happen to a lot of safeties. He hesitates a lot, which adds on to him getting sucked up and then not really knowing what to do. And, when he should just go forward, he stops a little bit and then he goes and it hurts him a little bit. But the positives about this guy, great range, ball skills is off the charts, one of the better intercepting safeties in this draft class, big hitter, an absolute ball magnet. It seemed like this guy was making plays all the time. Now, I had to go by his other tapes like last year and the year before. I couldn't look at any of the tapes from this year because he was hurt. And that could really drop him in the draft class. And if he actually played this year, who knows if he would have been considered a first round type of safety. But I do know this. What I know about him is that he's got a skill set that a team is going to love because he can take the ball away. And that is the best thing to have when you're playing the defensive back position, is being able to take the ball away. Next guy we're going to talk about on the list is Paris Ford. Small. He's from Pittsburgh, if you don't know. He's kind of small. Loves to be physical, but not a good tackler. He loves to go for the big hit, but he doesn't wrap up. Can lose focus. Solid ball skills. And like I said, they're just solid. He's not crazy off the charts. I think he's an okay guy when it comes to the safety position. I don't have him in my top 5, and I probably wouldn't use a pick within the first 3 rounds on him. But he is one of the better safeties because of the stuff he can do in terms of his ball skills. I can say is better than most of the safeties that will come out in the draft. Next guy we're going to talk about is Oregon's Jevon Holland, another player that I had to go by last year's tape and not this year. The reason being is because he decided to opt out. And if he opted in, this is another player that could have actually been a first-round pick. And now that he opted out, it drops him out, and people are not sure about him because when they look back at the tape, you've seen a little bit of inconsistencies when it came to him. But I can tell you this. He's a natural ball hawk, natural ball skills, can play in the slot. He's probably, besides Elijah Molden for Washington, he's probably the best slot corner in this league, and he's a safety. Not in the league, but in college, and he's a safety. That's wild. Has solid range. Not the greatest range, and there's another guy that we're going to talk about, actually 2 guys that have really, really good range. But it's there. It's something, right? It's his solid speed, but not really make-up speed. And he's the type of player, he reminds me of like an Antrel Rolle, right? Antrel Rolle was a safety/corner, play in a slot. Wasn't really fast, didn't have the make-up speed, but had great instincts. And the biggest thing about him is that when he got the ball into his hand, whether it was being a return man or taking a ball away, he was pretty good at it. And one thing Jevon Holland can do is get the ball in his hand and make plays. So, there you go. The next guy we're going to talk about is USC linebacker/safety Talanoa Hufanga. Big hitter, good tackler, natural box safety, high energy. Now, I don't have him high on my list, and I won't have this particular guy high on my list, but I wanted to talk about him because he was one of the better box safeties that I actually saw on tape in this year's draft. I honestly didn't think that there were any other safety in terms of a pure natural box safety that was better than him. So there's a role for him. The type of safety that he does play, the type of player he does, that he is not really conducive to what the NFL is today in this day and age. But this is a guy that in a certain defense, he could be really, really good. And honestly, with his high energy, he can make some big plays for a team and actually get the team riled up and that defense riled up to start rolling and start to get the ball rolling. Then all of a sudden, you start getting turnovers, more big hits, and everything starts to go your way. That's what type of safety he is. That's what type of player he is. Next, we're going to talk about a guy that I honestly thought that he was probably the second best safety in this draft class until I saw the last guy I'm going to talk about. But when this guy's healthy, he is the best free safety in this class. Not pure free safety like Richie Grant. And what I mean when I say best free safety is he plays single high, deep coverage, can play in a cover 2, cover 3 as a safety, but also come down in the slot and play a little bit of a nickel. And you know, when you're looking at free safeties in this league, that's what type of things that they do. He has an interchangeable type of skill set where he can kind of come in the box, but more of in that rover role that Texas is actually used to playing in. He's a very solid tackler. He has great range, like I said, with his skills as a single high safety. He has it all, and he has the ball hawking skills that you really, really want from a safety. The biggest problem with him, and the reason why he's not my number 2, he's actually my number 3 in this safety ranking draft list. The reason why he's number 3 is because his freshman year is the year that he actually played really, really well. His sophomore year, he wasn't as great, and then this past year, injuries kind of hurt him, and it wasn't great, but you saw him kind of come back into form of what he looked like his freshman year from his sophomore year, which wasn't really that good at all. So he's a guy that he's shown that he can be a big-time player in football. He just has to get back into what he was as a freshman in Texas into what he is now. And I think that he, like I said, he has that ability to do that. I believe in Caden Stearns from Texas. The last guy that we're going to talk about on this list is Jamar Johnson. He was one of the later safeties that I watched. And I almost thought that he was the best safety in this draft class, but I had to rethink about it and say, no, Trayvon Moehrig is still kind of the best. But what I saw from Jamar, it's really, really close. Like, they're neck and neck when it comes to who's the best safety in this draft class. He can play both free and strong, just like Trayvon. He can play both free and strong. In the box or single high. He has good ball skills. He takes on blocks, and that's something that you don't see a lot from safeties. For a guy that can play free safety and play strong safety, but just be able to play free safety, and you're coming down into the box and you're taking on blocks from offensive linemen, it shows another and a different level of type of player that you are. And I think that that's what I really, really liked about him a lot, where I almost put him as my number 1 guy. He's a solid tackler. He's high energy as well, and he moves so fluidly in coverage that it gets you a little. If you're really into the draft and you're watching these safeties, it gets you a little like it's so just enamoring when you see a type of player like him, because he shows the ability to be strong and be tough, but then he shows the gracefulness in coverage that is absolutely amazing and could honestly, like I said, make him the best safety in this draft class. Anyway, that was the last guy on the list. I thank all of you guys for watching. Wait to the end of the video to get more information about me, Draft Raw. Bye. Thank you once again for tuning in to In the Clutch. Once again, my name is Draft Raw, and if you want to see more videos from me, then you can subscribe to my YouTube channel at Draft Raw. And if you want to hear more from me, then you can follow me on Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram at the same name, Draft Raw. Once again, thank you. I'll see you next time.